In the small, unassuming town of Pine Hollow, where the trees loomed like watchful sentinels and the air always held a hint of damp earth, there was an abandoned house at the end of a winding dirt road. The locals knew it simply as the Larkins Place, named after the family that had vanished without a trace over 50 years ago. The story began on a stormy night in 1973, when the Larkins' daughter, Emily, was heard crying for help. Neighbors reported strange lights flickering in the windows, and the sound of an eerie melody drifted through the wind, haunting those who dared to listen. But by morning, the house stood silent, its doors locked, its windows shrouded in darkness. The family was gone, leaving behind only their possessions and a chilling mystery. Years passed, and Pine Hollow grew accustomed to the house's presence, a backdrop to local legends. Kids dared each other to approach it, but no one ever ventured inside. That was until a curious newcomer named Sarah moved to town. She was drawn to the stories, her fascination outweighing the town's warnings. One crisp October evening, fueled by a blend of courage and curiosity, Sarah decided to explore the Larkins Place. Armed with only a flashlight and her phone, she pushed open the creaky front gate, the hinges protesting like an old man waking from a long sleep. The porch groaned under her weight as she stepped closer to the door, which swung open with an unsettling creak. Inside, the air was thick with dust and despair. Faded family portraits lined the walls, eyes seeming to follow her as she moved. In the living room, she discovered an old piano, its keys yellowed and cracked. Against her better judgment, she pressed a few keys, producing a haunting melody that echoed through the emptiness. As the last note faded, she felt a chill sweep through the room. The temperature dropped, and an inexplicable sensation of being watched prickled at her skin. Sarah brushed it off as her imagination and ventured further inside. The kitchen, once a hub of warmth, now sat cold and barren, save for a single, rusted can of soup that seemed to call out to her. She picked it up, inspecting the label, Best by 1965. Suddenly, a whisper floated through the air, soft and melodic. "Help us?" It came from everywhere and nowhere, sending shivers down her spine. Heart racing, she turned to leave but was stopped by the unmistakable sound of a child's laughter echoing through the hallways. She felt compelled to follow it. The laughter led her to the staircase, where shadows danced along the walls. Each step creaked ominously beneath her weight as she ascended to the second floor, where the air grew heavier, thick with the scent of mildew and forgotten memories. At the end of the hallway stood a door, slightly ajar. The laughter grew louder, and the whisper echoed again, "Help us." She pushed the door open, revealing a nursery frozen in time. The walls were painted a faded blue, adorned with peeling stickers of cartoon animals. In the corner sat a small, dusty crib, the sheets rumpled as if a child had just been pulled from it. A chill gripped her heart as she noticed a small figure standing by the window, silhouetted against the fading light. "Emily?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The figure turned, revealing a little girl with hollow eyes and a sad smile. "Help us, we can't leave." Before she could react, the door slammed shut behind her, plunging the room into darkness. The temperature dropped further, and Sarah could hear whispers swirling around her, filling her mind with fragmented memories of fear and sadness. "We're trapped forever." In a panic, she rushed to the door, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers intensified, a cacophony of voices pleading for release. Join us." As she banged on the door, a single cold hand clasped her shoulder. Sarah spun around to find Emily standing right beside her, eyes now wide and pleading. "Please help us." With one last effort, Sarah pushed against the door, which swung open unexpectedly. She stumbled out, racing down the stairs, the whispers fading behind her. Outside, the air felt electric, the world alive with the rustle of leaves and the distant rumble of thunder. Gasping for breath, she fled the house and didn't stop until she reached the safety of the streetlights. Behind her, the Larkins Place loomed ominously, its windows dark and unwelcoming. As she turned to leave, the wind carried a final whisper, a sorrowful refrain that would haunt her dreams. "Help us? Help us? Forever. Weeks later, Sarah moved away from Pine Hollow, unable to shake the feeling of those hollow eyes watching her from the shadows. But in her heart, she knew she had not escaped. The whispers of the Larkins would always follow her, a reminder of the little girl who had reached out in desperation, forever trapped in a home that once echoed with laughter. Months passed since Sarah's harrowing encounter at the Larkins Place. Pine Hollow faded into a distant memory, but the whispers lingered, echoing in the corners of her mind. She found herself waking in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, haunted by the image of Emily's pleading eyes. No matter how hard she tried to forget, the weight of the unfinished story pressed heavily on her. One rainy afternoon, back in her new town, Sarah found herself in a second-hand bookstore. The smell of aged paper and leather filled the air, and as she browsed the aisles, something caught her eye: a dusty, leather-bound journal nestled between two forgotten novels. Curiosity piqued. She pulled it out and brushed off the dust, revealing a familiar name scrawled on the first page: Larkin. The journal belonged to Eleanor Larkin, Emily's mother. As she flipped through the pages, Sarah was drawn into a world filled with frantic notes and desperate pleas for help. Eleanor wrote about strange occurrences, vivid dreams where she heard whispers calling her daughter's name, and an overwhelming sense of dread that permeated the house. One entry stopped her cold. "The house is changing us. I hear her calling, but it's not just Emily. I think there's something else in here with us." With each page, Sarah could feel the intensity of Eleanor's fear and confusion. It was as if the journal was a portal to the past, bridging the gap between their worlds. The entries revealed a deepening despair, each scrawl more frantic than the last, until the final entry. A single sentence that sent chills down her spine. "We must leave before it takes us too." Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah returned to Pine Hollow, her heart racing with the possibility of uncovering the Larkins' fate. This time, she didn't just want to know what happened. She felt compelled to help, to bring peace to the restless spirits trapped within the walls of that house. As she approached the Larkins' place again, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the property. The air felt charged, heavy with unspoken words. Sarah hesitated at the front door, but a surge of resolve pushed her forward. She had to confront whatever was lurking within. Once inside, the familiar chill enveloped her. She clutched the journal tightly, using it as her guide through the darkness. The house seemed to sigh as she moved deeper, each creak of the floorboards a warning and an invitation. Following the faint echoes of laughter that now seemed to beckon her, she made her way to the nursery once more. The door swung open easily this time, revealing the same peeling blue walls, but now the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. "Emily?" she called softly, the name hanging in the air like a fragile thread. "I'm here to help you." The air shimmered, and for a moment, it felt as if time had stopped. Then, from the corner of the room, she heard a soft giggle, almost playful, but underlined by a sense of urgency. "You came back." Emily's voice was like a breeze, light yet tinged with sadness. "Yes," Sarah replied, her heart pounding. "I found your mother's journal. I know you're trapped here, and I want to help you." The girl's figure materialized, flickering like a candle in the wind. "You have to be careful. It doesn't want us to leave." "What doesn't?" Sarah felt the hairs on her neck stand on end. Emily pointed towards the window, where shadows danced outside, weaving in and out of view. "It's always watching. The house holds us, but it's not just the house. It feeds off our fear, our sadness." Suddenly, the air turned icy, and a deep, rumbling voice filled the room. "Leave now or join them." The words reverberated, echoing off the walls, sending a tremor through Sarah's bones. "No!" she shouted, defiance rising within her. "I'm not afraid of you." Emily's expression shifted, a mixture of fear and hope. "You have to face it. We need you to be strong." The room darkened, the shadows twisting and curling like tendrils of smoke. Sarah clenched the journal in her hand, feeling the energy pulse through her, a connection to Eleanor's desperate spirit. She took a deep breath, channeling the strength of her own fears, transforming them into resolve. "I will not let you keep them," she cried, stepping forward into the darkness. As she did, a blinding light erupted from the journal, illuminating the room. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in anger. "No, you cannot." But Sarah pressed on, focusing on the love and warmth that existed in the memories of the Larkins. She envisioned Eleanor holding Emily, the laughter and joy that had once filled this house, and the bond of a mother's love. "You're not alone," she shouted, and the light grew stronger, pushing back against the darkness. For a moment, everything went still. Then, one by one, the whispers began to rise, joining her in a chorus of defiance. "Help us! Help us!" As the shadows writhed and contorted, Sarah felt a rush of energy surge through her. The darkness began to dissipate, revealing the ethereal forms of Eleanor and Emily standing beside her, their faces serene. The house shuddered, as if awakening from a long, dark slumber. "Thank you," Emily whispered, her smile brightening the room. "Now we can finally be free." But just as Sarah felt a sense of triumph, a final, desperate wail erupted from the depths of the house. "You will regret this. You are bound to me." The ground shook violently, and Sarah braced herself against the wall. The light from the journal flickered as the shadows surged back, threatening to engulf her and the Larkins. "Stay with us," Eleanor cried, reaching for her. "No," Sarah shouted. "I won't let you go back." With every ounce of strength, she poured her will into the light, determined to break the house's hold once and for all. The battle between light and darkness raged, and in that moment, Sarah realized the true depth of her connection to the Larkins. They were bound together, their fates entwined by shared fear and hope. With one last push, she yelled, "We choose to be free," and then, everything exploded into blinding light. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The blinding light engulfed the nursery, filling every corner with a warmth that felt alive. Sarah felt weightless, as if she were being lifted out of the darkness. She could hear the shrieking of the shadows, a cacophony of rage and despair that echoed through the house. Yet, within that chaos, there was also a profound silence, a moment where everything hung in the balance. As the light expanded, Sarah glimpsed visions of the Larkins' life, the laughter of a little girl, the gentle lullabies sung by a mother at bedtime, the ordinary moments that had once filled the house with joy. With each memory, the shadows writhed more violently, as if trying to claw back what they had lost. "Hold on to the light," Emily's voice rang out, clear and strong. "We're almost there." But as Sarah focused on the memories of love, a dark shape began to materialize in the center of the room. It twisted and turned, a mass of shadows and anguish. A deep, guttural growl erupted from it, chilling her to the bone. "You think you can banish me? I am the heart of this house." Panic surged through Sarah, but she remembered the warmth of Eleanor's embrace, the way Emily's laughter had once filled the air. She pressed on, reaching out toward the light, determined to push back against the dark. "Your power comes from fear," Sarah shouted, her voice steady. "But we choose hope." In that instant, the shadows lunged forward, tendrils reaching for her, but the light surged brighter, fueled by her defiance. It enveloped the dark shape, illuminating its twisted features, hollow eyes, a gaping mouth filled with darkness, the very essence of despair. "No!" it roared, its voice a mix of anger and fear. "You will not take them from me." With a fierce resolve, Sarah concentrated on the love that had once filled the Larkins' home. "You can't keep them here. They deserve to be free." The light pulsed, striking the dark shape like a beacon, pushing it back with a force that felt tangible. The air crackled with energy, and the whispers of the house transformed from terrified cries to a harmonious chant, echoing support and encouragement. "Help us! Help us!" As the shadows began to dissolve, revealing glimpses of Eleanor and Emily glowing softly, Sarah felt their presence bolstering her strength. "Together," she said, "we can do this." With one final surge of will, she reached out, embracing the light fully. The dark mass shrieked in agony, its form splintering, revealing flashes of the Larkins trapped within. Faces contorted in fear and sorrow emerged, flickering like dying flames. "No! You will be mine!" the dark shape screamed, but it was growing weaker, unraveling before her very eyes. "Not anymore!" Sarah shouted, her voice ringing with conviction. In a blinding flash, the light surged forward, engulfing the darkness completely. A deafening silence fell, and then a sudden rush of air filled the room as the last remnants of the shadows were expelled. As the darkness faded, the nursery transformed. The peeling wallpaper brightened, the crib restored to its former beauty. The laughter of children echoed, warm and vibrant. Sarah felt the presence of the Larkins all around her, their joy palpable. "Thank you," Eleanor whispered, her figure now fully formed and radiant. "You've freed us." But before Sarah could respond, a shadow lingered at the edge of her vision, a remnant of the darkness, still coiling around her legs, trying to pull her back. Panic surged in her chest. "No, you can't have me." Emily's tiny hand reached for hers. "We won't let it take you. You're part of us now." Suddenly, a warmth enveloped Sarah, a protective barrier forged from the bond they had created. "We are stronger together," she cried, the realization washing over her. In that moment, Sarah felt the boundaries of her being dissolve. Memories flashed before her, moments of joy, laughter, and love mingling with the darker recollections of fear and pain. She was no longer just Sarah. She was part of something greater, a connection that transcended time and space. The shadow twisted violently, but it was no match for the collective strength of their spirits. "You are bound to nothing," Sarah declared, her voice a powerful echo. "You cannot hold us." The dark mass screamed, its form fracturing, before it was absorbed into the light, dissipating like mist in the morning sun. A sense of peace washed over the room, filling every corner with warmth. The Larkins glowed with a soft, ethereal light, their expressions serene. "Thank you," Emily said, her voice now a gentle whisper. "You've set us free." But as the light dimmed, Sarah felt a flicker of unease. "What happens now?" she asked, the weight of reality settling back in. Eleanor smiled sadly. "We go where we belong. But you must remember us. Our story doesn't end here. You carry it with you always. Promise us you'll tell our story," Emily added, her small hand squeezing Sarah's. "You have the power to keep it alive." With that, the light enveloped the Larkins, swirling around them like a soft mist before they began to fade away, their forms dissolving into shimmering particles that danced in the air. "Remember," Eleanor's voice echoed softly, "we are never truly gone. We will always be with you." And then they were gone, leaving Sarah standing alone in the nursery, now filled with warmth and light. But the shadows still lingered in her mind, a reminder of what she had faced and the connection she had forged. As she stepped out of the nursery, the house felt different, lighter, more alive. It had shed its darkness, but Sarah knew its story would always remain, entwined with hers. She couldn't leave just yet. The house held secrets waiting to be uncovered, remnants of the lives that had once thrived within its walls. With renewed determination, Sarah decided to explore the rest of the Larkins Place. She knew that the whispers would guide her, leading her to discover the truth hidden in the echoes of the past. And as she moved through the house, she could almost hear the Larkins' laughter, a gentle reminder that she was not alone, that she had become part of their story, and it was far from over. As Sarah stepped out of the nursery, the warmth of the house enveloped her like a gentle embrace. The shadows had receded, but remnants of the Larkins' past lingered, whispering secrets waiting to be unearthed. She knew she had to uncover the rest of their story, to honor the lives that had once thrived here. She ventured down the narrow hallway, her footsteps echoing softly against the wooden floors. Each room she entered revealed fragments of the Larkins' life. A father's old work boots by the door, a mother's sewing basket filled with forgotten fabric, and Emily's toys scattered in the playroom, dust motes dancing in the soft light. In the living room, She found an old photo album on the coffee table, its cover worn but still intact. As she flipped through the pages, she saw images of a happy family smiling faces. Birthdays celebrated, holidays spent together. The laughter in those pictures resonated with the warmth she had felt earlier, a stark contrast to the darkness that had once enveloped the house. But there was something else, a nagging feeling that not everything had been resolved. As she turned to the last pages, she noticed a small envelope tucked inside. It was addressed to Sarah, though she didn't recognize the handwriting. Her heart raced as she opened it. Inside was a letter from Eleanor, written in a frantic scrawl. Dear reader, if you find this, it means we are free, but our story is not complete. The darkness that held us is still out there, lurking in the corners of forgotten places. It seeks to bind others, to steal their light. You must warn those who come after. Tell them our tale, and help them remember that love is stronger than fear. The weight of Eleanor's words pressed down on Sarah. She understood now. Her journey wasn't just about uncovering the Larkins' past, but about protecting others from the same fate. The battle against darkness wasn't over. It was a fight that would continue. Steeling herself, Sarah returned to the nursery, feeling the energy of the house shift. It was as if the walls were urging her forward, guiding her to the next step. She felt a sudden pull toward the attic, a place she hadn't yet explored. With determination, she climbed the creaky stairs, the air growing colder with each step. The attic door creaked open, revealing a space filled with old trunks, cobwebs, and forgotten memories. Dust motes floated lazily in the shafts of light that spilled through a small window. As she stepped inside, the air shifted, a chill creeping up her spine. In the corner, she spotted a large trunk, its lock rusted but still intact. Intrigued, she knelt before it, running her fingers over the worn wood. Gathering her strength, she gave it a firm tug, and the trunk creaked open. Inside, she found old clothes, toys, and at the bottom, a small, tattered book. It was a journal, this one belonging to Emily. As she opened it, the pages fluttered, revealing sketches of the girl's dreams, of sunny days spent playing in the yard, and of her family. But as Sarah read further, the tone shifted. The entries turned darker, filled with Emily's fears of the shadows that loomed in their home. One passage sent a chill down Sarah's spine. I can hear them at night. They whisper things to me, and sometimes I can see their faces in the dark. They want to take me away, but Mama says they are just dreams. I don't think they are dreams. Heart pounding, Sarah realized the truth. These shadows were not merely remnants of the past. They were still lingering, preying on the innocent. If she didn't act, they could ensnare someone else, perhaps even a child, just as they had Emily. Determined to banish this darkness once and for all, Sarah felt a surge of purpose. She gathered the journal and the photo album, holding them tightly. The power of the Larkins' love resonated within her, urging her to confront the shadows head-on. As she made her way back down the stairs, she felt the temperature drop, and an eerie silence enveloped the house once more. The whispers returned, low and menacing, a reminder that the darkness was not finished with her. In the living room, the shadows coalesced into a swirling mass, a manifestation of anger and despair. Sarah took a deep breath, holding the journal and album high. You have no power here. I will not let you hurt anyone else. The shadows writhed, a cacophony of shrieks filling the air. You think you can banish me? I am the darkness that feeds on fear. With the strength of her conviction, she pressed on. You thrive on pain and sorrow, but love is stronger. You can't hold on to the past. In that moment, she opened the album to a picture of the Larkins smiling, their love radiating from the page. These are the memories that matter. You can't take them from me. The light from the album pulsed, and the shadows shrieked in agony, swirling violently as if caught in a storm. Sarah felt the warmth of the Larkins' love envelop her, a protective barrier against the encroaching darkness. Love will always win, she shouted, pouring all her strength into the light. The shadows recoiled, splitting apart as if unable to withstand the brilliance. With one final push, she shouted, You are nothing without fear. I choose to remember love. The shadows screamed, dissolving into tendrils of smoke before vanishing completely, leaving behind a stillness that felt both strange and comforting. The air cleared, and Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over her. As the last remnants of darkness dissipated, she turned, catching a glimpse of something shimmering in the air. A figure materialized Eleanor, her face radiant with gratitude. "You did it," she whispered, her voice a soothing balm. "You freed us all." Emily appeared beside her, beaming. "Now we can rest." "Thank you, Sarah." Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she realized the weight of what she had accomplished. "I'll tell your story, I promise." With that, the figures began to fade, their smiles lingering like a warm glow. "Remember us, and keep our story alive," Eleanor's voice echoed, a gentle reminder that love transcends even the darkest of times. As the light dimmed and the house settled into a profound silence, Sarah knew her mission was just beginning. She would share the Larkins tale, warning others of the shadows that lurked in forgotten corners, ensuring that love would always triumph over fear. Leaving the Larkins place behind, she stepped into the light of a new dawn, ready to embrace the world with the stories of those who had come before her, keeping their memories alive in her heart. And as she walked away, she felt a warmth wrap around her, a gentle whisper in the wind, echoing the words she had promised to carry forward. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.